Alright guys, I'm going to do a little bit different of a video than what I normally have been doing. Sorry, my cat's behind the camera trying to mess with things, so I've just kind of swatted at her a few times. But instead of doing final related things on this video, I'm going to go over the nominees for the CMAs, my thoughts of who should win it, various awards, who I think is going to win, snubs, some rants I've got about this whole situation, and based upon the nominees. And even though I know these were announced on Monday and it's now Thursday evening, this may not get posted until Friday, but I'm just going to go over it. We'll start with what would probably be considered the biggest of the awards. If you see me looking over here, kind of reaching over here, I've got my laptop up over here just so I can reference it, make sure I don't miss any of the nominees or anything. We'll start with the Entertainment or the Year nominees and the award. I'm going to start with the rant on that. It's the fact that there's not a single female nominated, which I think is crap, especially because that's one thing that is seen a lot about country radio is that it's not exactly female friendly. You don't have that many big female stars, even though there's not a lack of good female singers, even if they are like pop country. Look at it, you've got, though these aren't pop country singers, you've got Margot Price and Brandi Carlile, Ashley McBryde, all really great singers, musicians, artists that didn't necessarily do well on charts or on radio because, well, radio doesn't really push female artists. And your two biggest female artists, which are Carrie and Miranda, didn't have the biggest years. Carrie had a pretty decent year so far with Cry Pretty, even though the album's not out yet. It's just based purely off that opening single. And Miranda's coming basically to the end of her album cycle for her latest album. But the nominees are Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, Kenny Chesney, Chris Stapleton, and Keith Urban. Luke Bryan's had a pretty successful year. I think it's 2 number ones, and his current single is still rising on the charts as far as I know, or at least doing well. But it's like a quiet year for him. He hasn't really been seen as one of the biggest. Kenny's had some success. I think he's had number 1 or 2 number ones in the last year off his album, but Kenny's pretty much samey in the same sense of like AC/DC, where it's like, oh, that's definitely a Kenny Chesney song. Kenny Chesney, like, I'm still trying to relive my teenage years, but this time on a beach type thing. So I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think Luke's going to get it. Why Keith Urban's even nominated, I don't know. I'll get more into that here in the following category. So basically, I want Chris Stapleton to win. I feel like he's the best singer, the best artist, best musician, best songwriter out of this lot here. And he does really well with his contemporaries, with fans, and with critics. I think he's got a good chance. He usually does really well on award shows. Or I think it could be Jason Aldean's here because was it Rearview Town, I believe is the name of the album. Yeah, Rearview Town, his most recent album, has done really well on the charts. And I feel like he got a lot of big publicity after that Route 91 shooting. So I think it comes down to Stapleton or Jason Aldean on that. Going into Album of the Year, our 5 nominees are From a Room, Volume 2 by Chris Stapleton, Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves, Graffiti You by Keith Urban, Life Changes by Thomas Rhett, and The Mountain by Dierks Bentley. If I'm picking my pick out of the two, or out of this stack, it's one of 2 for who I want to win. It's either Casey Musgraves' Golden Hour or Dierks Bentley, The Mountain. I think they're both great albums. Dierks is more on the country side compared to what Casey's is, where there's a lot of pop and everything. There's a lot of different influences, and Casey's never really been one to fully like stick to a particular genre, even though her first album, Same Trailer, Different Park, was more country. It did have some pop influences, and their pop influences got a little bit higher on the likes of her follow-up album, which was Pageant Material. From a Room, Volume 2 had quite a few weeks at number 1. I don't think it really has had as much staying power. There weren't as many big singles off of it. Life Changes by Thomas Rhett, though it's pretty much a pop and R&B album, it's still on the country side. It's got songs like Marry Me, which have done pretty decently. I'll get more into that as I go down the list. But instead of Graffiti You, which is a dumpster fire, nothing country about it, purely pop, purely garbage compared to the fact that Keith Urban's actually a pretty good guitar player, even a great guitar player, and some of his older stuff wasn't absolutely terrible. Graffiti U shouldn't have been nominated. My personal pick that should have been nominated would have been Port St. Joe by Brothers Osborne, my favorite album among all genres of music. It didn't really do well on the charts, and it didn't really have any hit singles or anything at this point, so I'm biased in that sense. But if we're going by like chart success and everything, Jason Aldean's Rearview Town should be nominated, or Kane Brown's self-titled album, which honestly I haven't listened to a lot of it because I feel it's basically just pop music fodder that shouldn't be on country radio anyway. So in that case, I guess I'll throw the fifth nomination should have been Jason Aldean, but it wasn't. So based upon this, Graffiti U is not going to win. The Mountain hasn't had mass amounts of success. Woman Named Men was pretty decent on the radio. Burning Man, which I'll get more into later, hasn't had a lot of success yet, so I don't think that's going to win. Golden Hour could be a dark horse to win this, mainly because it's done really well with critics and fans that aren't necessarily the country genre, because Casey's not really been great with country radio. So I feel like overall, album of the year, the winner's going to be either Chris Stapleton's From a Room Volume 2 or Life Changes by Thomas Rhett, but I feel like Thomas Rhett's on a huge upswing at this point and will probably be the one that ends up getting the award. Single of the year, I think it's based on, let me take a look, I forget which one that goes to. Single of the year goes to the artists and the producers. Okay. Based upon that set of nominees, single of the year's nominees are Broken Halos by Chris Stapleton, Drinking Problem by Midland, Drowns the Whiskey by Jason Aldean featuring Miranda Lambert, Meant to Be by BB Rexha and Florida Georgia Line, don't even get me started on that, and Tequila by Dan and Shay. First of all, we'll go through, and I don't think Broken Halos is going to get it. It's a pretty good song, but I don't think it was as monstrous as some of the other ones. I like Drinking Problem by Midland. I don't feel like it was a big enough success to really win it, so it comes down to the other three. My pick for what I would choose, and it hurts me to say this because I don't like Jason Aldean, is Drowns the Whiskey by Jason Aldean and Miranda Lambert. I feel like it's probably actually the best of the 5 songs that are nominated. I feel like Meant to Be may take this, or it goes to Tequila. I think I'm going to go with Tequila. I think Tequila's going to get it. Dan and Shay are really starting to break through, even though BB Rexha and Florida Georgia Line's craptacular, awful song, I think set the record for most of the weeks at number 1. And it honestly should not even be played on country radio. It's complete, utter garbage. I'm going to give it to Tequila, though. It's got a big rise. Dan and Shay's really starting to break through. Song of the year goes to, I guess, any song that's basically an original song that came out during that eligibility period, and it goes to the songwriter and the primary publishers. Nominees: Body Like a Back Road by Sam Hunt. Not even sure why that's on here, given the fact that it was nominated last year. It shouldn't have been on there. We got Broken Halos by Chris Stapleton, Drowns the Whiskey by Jason Aldean, Drunk Girl by Chris Jansen, and Tequila by Dan and Shay. Body Like a Back Road should not have been nominated. There's a few other songs that I really have liked. I think would have been better options. I want to say She Ain't In It by John Party is a better option, though I don't know if it technically gets classified because it was on an album that came out prior. It wasn't released as a single until that time period. Didn't do well on the radio, unfortunately. And to stay along with that, I'll also include Ash McBride's Little Dive Bar in Dahlonega, phenomenal song that really should have done better on the radio. I don't think Body Like a Back Road gets it. I don't think Broken Halos gets it. Song of the year, going to the songwriters. I think that country music needs some good publicity at this point. So I feel like Drunk Girl might be the one that takes it. It's close. I think you can go to Drowns the Whiskey, Drunk Girl, or Tequila. But I think country radio needs the good publicity, so I would give it to probably Drunk Girl from a songwriting standpoint. Winner might go to Tequila, might go to Drunk Girl, could go to Drowns the Whiskey. Female Vocalist of the Year. Nominees are Kelsey Ballerini, Miranda Lambert, Maren Morris, Casey Musgraves, and Carrie Underwood. All 5 Our understandable nominations, Kelsey Ballerini, I feel like Legends didn't do as well on radio, and what is it? I Hate Love Songs. It's not okay. I forget the Maren Morris singles, but her stock continues to rise. Miranda pretty much wins this almost every year, but I think it's going to go to Carrie because Carrie's has released Cry Pretty and it's done well on the radio, whereas Miranda's coming to the end of her album cycle, like I mentioned before. So I think it goes to Carrie, but I personally would give it to Casey. Male Vocalist of the Year nominees: Dierks Bentley, Dirk Bentley, Luke Combs, Thomas Rhett, Chris Stapleton, Keith Urban. Luke Combs is doing really well, getting bigger. I feel like he's not quite there yet to win it, but give him another album or so. My personal choice would be either Dierks Bentley or Chris Stapleton for who I want to win. I'm biased, so I think I'm going to give it to Dierks, even though Stapleton's the better singer. I think Stapleton will be the one to win it. Thomas Rhett as the dark horse on this one, and Keith Urban should not be nominated literally for any reason. New Artist of the Year. Here comes a big rant from me. So our nominees are Lauren Elena, Luke Combs, Chris Jansen, Midland, and Brett Young. Last year, nominees included Lauren Elena, Luke Combs, and Brett Young. 3 people from last year that are also in this year. Should they be eligible? Absolutely not. Who could be eligible instead of them? Let's go. Lanco, who's had big success with Greatest Love Story, which was a really big song. And not to mention Born to Love You's done pretty well on radio. Carly Pierce. Hide the Wine's doing pretty decent on radio. And not to mention Every Little Thing was a great song and a number 1. And I guess for a 5th nominee, even though I don't like saying it, Kane Brown, I'm kind of surprised didn't do it because he did really well with What Ifs and Heaven. But I guess the bright side coming out of 3 people from last year being renominated is we don't get junk like, what's his name? Dylan Scott or Jordan Davis or any of them being nominated. And I don't understand Chris Jansen being nominated for New Artist of the Year because, what was it, in 2015 that Buy Me a Boat came out and was a hit? But based upon these options, I feel like Luke Combs is going to end up being the one to win it. And the one I think should win it should go to either Luke Combs or Midland. I like Midland, even though there's the whole controversy behind it. Is it real, or are they pretty much a complete gimmick thought up by the record company? I don't know. I enjoy the music, though. I enjoy the looks. The next 2 groups I'm going to kind of rush together real quick because honestly, with the way things are going recently, I feel like they should just be one category, which are Vocal Group of the Year and Vocal Duo of the Year. Vocal Group of the Year nominees are Lady Antebellum, Landco, Little Big Town, Midland, and Old Dominion. All 5 are understandable nominations, even though I don't feel like Lady Antebellum's had as big of a year, given the fact that Heartbreak wasn't huge on radio as a single. And their single before that, You Look Good, was eligible last year for all the awards, so it wasn't even eligible on this year's group. Based upon this, I'm going to give it to Little Big Town because they win it every year. Honestly, I'd like to see it go to Midland. I think Midland is a dark horse on this, or even Lanco, because I saw Lanco live this past summer. Saw Midland earlier as well. Lanco put on a great show and really impressed me. Vocal Duo of the Year nominees: Brothers Osborne, Dan and Shay, Florida Georgia Line, Maddie and Tay, Sugarland. The Sugarland reunion and publicity didn't really take off as well as they wanted, I don't think. Maddie and Tay, honestly, until I talked to a friend recently, I didn't realize they'd put anything out in the last couple years. Brothers Osborne, my personal favorite, who should win it, didn't do as well on radio. I don't think they're going to get it. Based upon their current success, I think it's going to Dan and Shay. Florida Georgia Line could get it after the success of Meant to Be, or even how Simple's doing, and whatever that crappy up down down or whatever, up down, terrible song. But I think Dan and Shay's got it this year. I would personally give it to Brothers Osborne, but honestly at this point I feel like these categories people just get thrown in just to fill roles, and a lot of times people aren't necessarily doing well enough. They just need enough people to fill categories. They could probably just combine the 2 categories and go from there and just pick, I guess, the 5 most eligible options. Going down to Musical Event of the Year, which is basically a collaboration Nominees: Burning Man by Dierks Bentley featuring Brothers Osborne, my personal favorite of all the choices that I'd give it to. Dear Hate, Maren Morris featuring Vince Gill. I believe that was one of the songs that was in reference to the Route 91 shooting. Drowns the Whiskey, Jason Aldean featuring Miranda Lambert. Really love that song. I think it's a really good song. Still climbing the charts, doing really well on the charts. Everything's Gonna Be Alright, David Lee Murphy featuring Kenny Chesney, and Meant to Be by BB Rexha featuring Florida Georgia Line. I think that's going to end up getting it, even though I feel like Drowns Whiskey is a dark horse in this category, and I wouldn't be upset if it were to win, but I personally would pick Burning Man as my personal choice. Going down to the music video of the year, I haven't watched a lot of country music videos in recent history, so I went back and watched all 5 of these right before I decided to record this video. Nominees are Babe by Sugarland featuring Taylor Swift, Cry Pretty by Carrie Underwood, Drunk Girl by Chris Janson, Marry Me by Thomas Rhett, and Tequila by Dan and Shay. Going through these, if Shoot Me Straight by Brothers Osborne had been released a couple months earlier as a video, which I feel like they should have done given the fact that it was originally put out in January, and they just released the video last week or 2 weeks ago, it would have been nominated like Ain't My Fault and probably would have won. But, it's past eligibility, and it probably will be long forgotten by the time that next year's eligibility is decided for. Based upon these videos, I'm going to make my choices from the whole purpose of the song itself, the video, how they combine together. So based upon that, Cry Pretty, though it's an alright song, Carrie's a great singer, I didn't think it was a good video. It really wasn't anything special. We'll just cut that one out right away. Babe by Sugarland featuring Taylor Swift, pretty decent video. Understand why it was nominated. It's got like a lot of color and cinematography looks good on it. I don't know if it'll win other than country trying to impress Taylor like they did with the Better Man thing last year or 2 years ago. But, which basically brings down to Drunk Girl by Chris Janson, Marry Me by Thomas Rhett, and Tequila by Dan and Shay. The biggest video based upon YouTube views was Thomas Rhett, and it wasn't even close. It was like 130 million views. And Thomas Rhett's stars really starting to raise here. I think that it will probably be the one to walk out. Emotional connection wise, it was pretty good. Dan and Shay's Tequila was really good, which was about the actor in the video is actually deaf, so he played a deaf character in the video. And it's basically like he meets this girl there. She's not deaf, but like tequila is like their combined drink that they both enjoy together. It goes through their relationship. He ends up basically telling her he wants to go finish his journey by himself. And then at the very end, he comes back like 4 years later and goes to order a drink at the bar where she's bartending that I guess he didn't know. And she gets him a tequila. It's a pretty good video. But if we're going on an emotional sense, I feel like Chris Janson's Drunk Girl is really good. It really hits on the Me Too thing, and basically it's just the guy just needs to be a good person, not take advantage of a drunk girl. But who I'd pick, who I want to win, you can give it to Drunk Girl, Marry Me, or Tequila. I feel like all are, based upon the videos, are pretty good choices. I think Marry Me is going to be the one that ends up taking it based upon the success from it. But if we take into account like the power of the music video, I think Tequila could do it. Drunk Girl could slide in if country music's trying to make some kind of social statement, which they're usually way, way behind on. But I'll go back and just do a quick recap. Entertainer of the Year, I want it to be Stapleton. I think it goes to Stapleton or Aldean. Album of the Year based upon nominees, I want it to go to either Dierks Bentley or Casey Musgraves. I think it's going to probably Life Changes by Thomas Rhett, or maybe even From a Room, Volume 2, Stapleton. Casey Musgraves is Dark Horse. Single of the Year, Broken Halos, Chris Stapleton, Drinking Problem, Midland, Drowns the Whiskey by Jason Aldean and Miranda, Meant to Be by BB Rexha, Florida Georgia Line, and Tequila by Dan and Shay. I think it goes to Tequila and Dan and Shay. My personal pick is Drowns the Whiskey. Songs of the Year nomination: Body Like a Back Road by Sam Hunt, Broken Halo by Chris Stapleton, Drowns the Whiskey by Jason Aldean and Miranda Lambert, Drunk Girl by Chris Jansen, Tequila by Dan and Shay. I think this one, I think I said Tequila will probably win, which I think it's got a good chance. Drunk Girl, if they want to make a social statement, could do it. My personal pick is probably Drowns the Whiskey. Female nominees are Kelsey Ballerini, Miranda Lambert, Maren Morris, Casey Musgraves, Carrie Underwood. I think Carrie's taking it. Casey Musgraves or Miranda has a strong second possibility. Casey Musgraves is a dark horse. I'd give it to Casey. Male vocalist nominees: Dirk Bentley, Luke Combs, Thomas Rhett, Chris Stapleton, Keith Urban. I think it's going to Stapleton or Thomas Rhett. Toss up there. I'd give it to either Dirks or Stapleton. New artist: Lorna Lana, Luke Combs, Chris Jansen, Midland, Brett Young. I'm giving it to Luke Combs. I think he's got a strong possibility of winning it this year. Vocal group is going to go to Lady Antebellum. Little Big Town. Other nominees are Lady Antebellum, Lanco, Midland, Old Dominion. I give it to probably Midland or Lanco. Duo of the Year nominees: Brothers Osborne, Dan and Shay, Florida Georgia Line, Maddie and Tay, Sugarland. I'm giving it to Dan and Shay. Florida Georgia Line could recover and end up getting it back this year, but my personal pick of who I want to win is Brothers Osborne. Musical event, I'd give it to Burning Man. Dirk Bentley featuring Brothers Osborne. Other nominees are Maren Morris, Vince Gill, song Dear Hate, Drowns the Whiskey by Jason Aldean and Miranda Lambert, Everything's Gonna Be Alright by David Lee Murphy and Kenny Chesney, and Meant to Be by BB Rexha and Florida Georgia Line. I think it goes to BB Rexha and Florida Georgia Line, unfortunately. Music Video of the Year nominees are Babe, Sugarland featuring Taylor Swift, Cry Pretty by Carrie Underwood, Drunk Girl by Chris Jansen, Marry Me by Thomas Rhett, Tequila by Dan and Shay. I think it probably goes to Marry Me. Tequila and Drunk Girl both are decent possibilities to win it, and for me, I feel like any of the three could win it, and I'd be fine with that. And I'm sorry this is a longer video, just kind of want to rant a little bit and give my thoughts on this. You guys in the comment section below, tell me what you want to win, who you think will win, or even any snubs you think that there were this year. But overall, I hope you guys have a great day.